Hey guys, Buffer Gaming back today, bringing you a video for our weapon conversion series, and today we're going to be covering the brand new weapon released today for the Season 4 reload, being the Rytec AMR, and converting it into the Barrett M82A1 or the M107 50 caliber sniper rifle. So let's go ahead, jump right in and show you how to unlock this, is best classes to build to use to unlock this weapon, and then we'll kit this out and we'll jump in game, check out the recoil, and see how it handles in game against bots. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So here we have the final design. Again, this is the Barrett M82A1 or the XM107 is the Army designation for this 50 caliber sniper rifle. So this was again added today in game, and now if I were to go to the, I can't see my challenges because I already completed it, but you can see here it's the Rytec AMR is what this was added. Now if you go to this and you don't have it unlocked yet, you'll be able to see that the challenges for this is you need 3 quick scopes in 15 different games. So you need 15 games with 3 quick scopes. So the easiest way to do this is going to be, I'll show you the class that I use to do this, is play Shoot the Ship, which was added to multiplayer, and I used one of the Car 98K blueprints that I had, and I just equipped these specific attachments. So you're going to want the single ARBS 25.1 inch barrel on there. I just find it's better for one-shot kills, mainly in the close quarters that you're dealing with. Put any red dot on there. You're going to use the FTAC Sport Comb. This is just going to assist with your ADS speed, so you can do the quick scoping easier. You're going to want sleight of hand for faster reload. The Stipple grip tape, again, for ADS speed, and sprint to fire speed to help you quick scope. And then no underbarrel. So those are the 5 attachments you're going to want on this Car 98K, which is what I used best for this. You're going to get those 3 quick scopes in the game, and then you're going to go ahead and you can back out right away. So you don't need to play the full game. You can get 3 of your quick scopes, back out, and then check when you hover over your Rytec AMR in the menu here, and it'll show the progression. And if you do that, you'll see it go up and up, and it maybe took me about, I want to say, a little bit over an hour once I got the hang of it. Again, playing Shoot the Ship, very close quarters, and you're able to get those 3 headshots, or not even headshots, just those 3 quick scopes with the Car 98K. Best way to do it, and then go ahead and back out, start a new game. And I did it with both Shoot House and Shipment, so I don't think either or are better than each other. I think they're both perfect for what you need to do. Distance doesn't matter, and again, it's pretty easy. It takes a little bit over an hour, but again, when you do that, you unlock the Rytec AMR. Now, I did purchase the in-game, or the in-store item for this one, which is the Damnation here. And again, you can see, unfortunately, until you unlock it, you can't edit any of the attachments. So I'd highly recommend not buying this, just because you have it, but it's not really built well for quickscoping unless you're used to this Cronin sight. I think the Car 98K is way, way better. So I would recommend not purchasing this. I was hoping maybe I could swap out some attachments and use this and level it up at the same time, kind of like I did with the M249 SAW, the Mark 9 Bruin was at, but that wasn't the case. But regardless, once you have it unlocked here, you can see, we'll go ahead and strip it down, look at the base version. Now, there's a couple different variants of this, at least 2 we can make in-game so far. So here's the base version of the weapon. Now, again, at base, if we hover over the description, you can see here, semi-automatic anti-materiel rifle chamber with 50 caliber BMG. And again, you can do some different conversions there. But again, that 50 caliber is going to be that 12.7 by 99 millimeter NATO. So we'll go ahead again, we'll select the rifle. You can see at base. So the attachments we're going to want on this to turn it into the Barrett M82A1 or the XM107 being the Army designation. First, we're going to want the XRK tank brake. So this is going to be that big muzzle brake. Again, there's some differences between these and the real life versions, like obviously for licensing issues versus what they did in COD 4. You'll see there's actually a significant difference to the way the weapon looks. But regardless, we're going to want that tank brake for the recoil stabilization. The cons here are going to be the ADS speed and the aiming stability. So we'll go ahead and select that. Now the barrel, in real life, the XM107 or the Barrett M82 has anywhere from a 20 to either like I said, a 20 or a 29 inch barrel. So I'm not really sure what the measurement of the base barrel is here, but again, it looks a little short. So we're going to want that FTAC 7 straight. This is going to be the extended 770 millimeter barrel or a 30 inch barrel, which is going to put us right in line, just slightly over the real life barrel length of the weapon. This is going to assist with the damage range, bullet velocity, and the recoil control. The cons here are going to be the ADS speed and the movement speed for this. So go ahead and select that. Now for the laser, we can skip it. You can see how that looks. It's going to be that side-mounted laser instead of the typical one that we're used to, like the Raptor Light looking one there. The optic, personal preference for this, I'm going to run the variable zoom, especially if you're engaging on long maps. Again, you get that 5.5, and then you can toggle to that 12.6 level magnification. But again, this is personal preference. I think I obviously use this a lot which once I unlocked it with the base sniper scope until I got to this, and I think the base sniper scope is perfectly fine for multiplayer. So this is going to assist, obviously, with the toggle magnification. The cons here being just the ADS-B with that extra weight. So next up, we're going to want the grip, and this is where we get into more personal preference. I'm going to use the rubberized grip tape just to help assist with that recoil control on the weapon, so go ahead and select that. And then we're going to skip on the ammo. We're going to cover that in another video for the conversion that you can do with this. But the underbarrel, we're going to want that bipod. So this is going to assist with the crouch and prone recoil control, which you'll see in the gameplay. I use it a little bit, and you'll see the differences in the recoil. So we'll go ahead and select that. And that is our final design. This is, again, M82A2 of the Army designation, the XM107. Now, just one interesting note. You'll see, I'll show on screen, it looks very similar to actually the original Barrett M82, the original one made by Ronnie Barrett before it was upgraded and had some modernizations to it, which is a pretty ugly weapon, but it looks pretty similar. Now, if we put the stock option, the XRK Mastodon stock on this, you can see what this will look like. Very, very similar to the original Barrett M82 prior to the A1, obviously. So you can see that stock option is going to be basically the exact same thing, which is pretty interesting to see. So obviously for, I believe, copyright purposes, they made it look a little bit different. So we have the Picatinny on top, although it's not quite a Picatinny. I'm not quite sure what rail that is. Not a Picatinny, though. And the magazine is a base 5-round magazine of the 50 caliber versus in real life is going to be a 10-round box magazine. Now, you'll also notice that the front handguard there is going to be different. It's not going to have quite the same look to it, as well as the Picatinny's, like I mentioned. But in real life, the Barrett M82, or at least the A1 and up variants, have more holes in the handguard there, versus this one is just very solid. Very much, like I said, the original Barrett M82. There's more openings, not quite like M-locks or anything like that, but again, it's more open to allow the gas to come through, and this is very closed off looking, again, a lot like the original M82. Then we have that muzzle brake on there, which in real life this is going to be a spade shape, so this is really like an original tank brake like it says here, so it's not quite the one that comes in real life. Also the bipod on the M82s or the XM107s is going to be basically the same as the old M60 bipod, so this one is obviously an upgraded version of the bipod, no longer the old M60 versions that you're used to seeing on the M82. The buttstock, very similar. You have some cool options with this one, actually, cosmetically, as we looked at the Mastodon already. You have the Trekker, which, again, looks very similar to the base, but the nice one here is the S12 tack wrap. This one looks pretty cool, and it's going to assist with your ADS speed. Again, this is based off real life. It's basically just a weighted ballast pack that you have on the back of the buttstock here, as well as over the cheek rest there. So that's pretty cool looking. Again, very, very true to the real versions, but we'll go with the base just for this. Again, you can swap out this grip for anything else you wanted, or you can swap out the OPTIC also. But that's basically how this looks. You see you have some writing. It looks like either XM7, which I'm assuming is what it is. It also could be a K, but XM7 would be XM107 is what the designation would be on that magazine. Since we are firing 50 caliber rounds with this, I'm going to assume that is XM7. So again, the military designation for the Barrett M82, when it was adopted by the military, is the XM107 because they have to designate basically their rifles. I couldn't go with the standard Barrett M82, so they call it the XM107. So you can see that magazine, XM7 for XM107. You can see the writing here is going to be 1/506T, which I'm not quite sure what that represents. Other than that, pretty close to accurate. I think a really nice version of the weapon here. So let's go ahead and jump in and we'll check out the recoil control on this weapon. You can see the recoil on this. If you're going to be standing, it's going to be pretty heavy. You're going to definitely need to take your time to get your shots on target. Versus you'll see first here, I'm just going to let it rip holding my breath. And you can see the muzzle climb on this. You really need to let your shots center and that recoil come back down. Otherwise, this thing's going to climb completely out of control. So you really need to be accurate with this and just understand that you need to really take time and line your shots up. Also, if you're crouching and prone, since we have that bipod on, it's going to increase your recoil mitigation when you're firing this weapon. So you'll see some examples here just crouching as well as when I'm prone and firing this. And you see our shots are going to be much more closer to center mass there. At least we're able to mitigate the bullet spread on the weapon itself. So that's really nice to see. Now, one thing I did notice, I can't tell just because of, I'm assuming it doesn't, but in real life, it's actually the Barrett M82 XM107s has a reciprocating barrel, meaning it helps to mitigate the recoil by it's not attached to the upper or lower receiver. It just will reciprocate and come back like it did in COD 4. You'll see that, and that'll again help mitigate the recoil, so it's not all going into your shoulder with this huge weapon. So I'm not sure if it does it. I didn't really notice. You'll see me here at the end just hip fire to try and see, and I did it a couple times before too. It doesn't look like it's a reciprocating barrel, but again, they have to make, same with a lot of the weapons, they have to make a lot of changes to avoid copyright strikes with these weapons, so they're not paying for the licensing like they did in previous games. But jumping into gameplay here, you'll see this thing is a lot of fun to use. I use this quite a bit in multiplayer, and I'm just starting to get into it with Warzone, and I'm still testing it out in Warzone to see how it handles. But in multiplayer, it handles really well. You're able to drop people. It's going to basically be a one-shot kill almost all the time in multiplayer, which is really nice to see. And again, the thing with this weapon is you can't just spit off a bunch of shots at once. You really need to take your time and line those shots back up because of the recoil on this weapon. Even with the right attachments on this, it could definitely get out of hand. So you really need to take your time and line up. You can't shoot 5 shots all at once and expect them to all be accurate, which you'll notice in the gameplay. You'll see me shoot a little bit, and some of the shots are just going all over the place and all around the target. So that's definitely one thing to keep in mind. But in real life, again, the Barrett M82, there's a couple different variations. There's the original M82, which I would have showed you the picture there, which this one looks eerily similar. It's basically a cross between the base M82 and the M82A1. But again, there's the M82A1, there's the M82A2, which is a bullpup 50 caliber rifle. You also have the M82A3, and then, like I said, there's some conversions that we have with the ammo here, which we'll be covering here probably tomorrow. I'll do that conversion and test it out as well and show you that, and we'll go into more detail. Now, that's a conversion kit in real life, which is nice to see. So this weapon in real life does have the conversion kit to what we'll cover tomorrow, which will be cool to see, and I'll explain how that works. But in real life, again, this weapon was developed by Ronnie Barrett. So back in 1982, he developed this weapon, and basically the reason for that, back in World War II, and everyone's familiar with Browning 50 caliber machine guns, right? And that fired a 50 caliber round. Now, Ronnie Barrett wanted to fire it from a rifle, like you saw in the later days of World War I, and even in World War II, you had those big anti-tank rifles. He wanted to make something like that to fire this round, and you couldn't do that with any type of modern rifle unless you went back and got these old weapons from World War I and World War II that were used for anti-materiel rifles to take out tanks, right? So he developed the Barrett M82, and now this is actually an anti-materiel rifle. The Barrett M82, the same one that we saw in COD 4 and some of the previous Call of Duties, is not an anti-personnel rifle. It's actually designed to be anti-materiel, although it is used in the field in some cases as anti-personnel very successfully, obviously because of the round. But it is an anti-materiel rifle, meaning it's meant to take out vehicles, punch through walls, things like that. Anything but mammals, basically, is what this thing is designed for. But he designed basically a modernized version of this. Ended up working really well, showed it to the military, and they loved it, and that's why they adopted the XM107. Again, it fires that 50 caliber BMG 12.7 by 99 millimeter round, and it's also, as it was designated, the XM107 or the M107 variant, is also nicknamed the Light 50 because it is lighter than the base variant, I believe, by 15%. The M82 was a big, bulky, heavy one, and once they upgraded it to the M82 and adapted by the military to the M107. They're both the same rifles, and those A1 variants of the Barrett M82 were a lot lighter than the original ones, which is nice to see. So again, this was designed in 1982, which is where the name M82 comes from 1982. It's an anti-materiel semi-automatic sniper rifle. Place of origin is going to be the United States. Again, Ronnie Barrett developed this, as I said, in 1982. It's been in service since 1989 through present day, and again, there's been a couple different variations. Barrett has obviously made a name for themselves for producing these type of weapons. It's been used in multiple wars, being the Gulf War, war in Afghanistan, war in Iraq, a lot of present wars that we see. Even I believe the IRA also used this, and they smuggled some over for the United States by a former employee from the Barrett factory, and used those successfully in some skirmishes over there as well. So, designer, as I said, Ronnie Barrett, and manufacturer is his own company, Barrett Firearms Manufacturing. One unit cost for this rifle is about $9,800 in 2007. So, pretty expensive rifle. Produced, again, as I said, 1982 through present. The mass on this is going to be 29.7 pounds to 30.9 pounds, depending on what you're running with this. Again, since we have the heavy barrel here in game, it's going to be on the higher end, obviously, with those attachments. And then versus whether or not you have the magazine loaded or not, we'll add that extra weight there as well. The length is going to be anywhere from 48 inches or 120 centimeters to 57 inches or 140 centimeters. And again, the barrel length is going to be 20 inches to 29 inches. So here in game with this specific barrel, we have 30-inch barrel on this weapon, which gives us right in line with that 29-inch barrel in real life, which is nice to see. Again, slightly over, which we see a lot with the weapons in Modern Warfare versus the real-life counterparts, just due to copyright and licensing issues. So the cartridge is going to be the 50 BMG, as I said. It also fires the 416 Barrett as another round that this thing can fire via conversion kit. The action is a recoil-operated rotating bolt, and again, the barrel itself is a reciprocating barrel to help mitigate the recoil on this weapon. And again, we have that big muzzle brake on the end there to also help expel the gas and mitigate the recoil as well. So the muzzle velocity for this weapon is going to be 2,799 feet per second, or 853 meters per second. The effective firing range on this is going to be 1,969 yards, or 1,800 meters. Now, the feed system is anywhere from the 5, which we have in-game as a 5-round box magazine, to a 10-round detachable box magazine, are your two options. So I can see why they only gave us the 5-round option here in-game. Maybe we'll get a 10-round in the future, but this thing definitely, especially when we get into Warzone gameplay with this in another video, you'll see 10 rounds would almost be just too much, because it is typically going to be in Warzone a 2-shot kill, depending on where you're getting your shots, but multiplayer is a 1-shot kill. You can't have 10 of those, and the reload speed on this is actually very slow depending on what you're running on it, so that makes sense to me. So the sights, milled standard 1913 rail system with the attachments on there, so that's pretty much what we have, is an old school rail system, not an updated Picatinny on there here in game. So that is the rifle. Again, let me know what you guys think down below of this. Again, the Barrett M82, it's basically, as I said, a cross between the M82A1 and the original Barrett. Again, due to licensing purposes, I'm sure is why they did that. We can make one other variant of this, which we'll be covering probably tomorrow. I'll go into that. Really nice weapon. Can't wait to get you guys some Warzone gameplay with this. And again, as I said, the best way to unlock this is using the Kar 98K for quick scoping. And with that build I showed earlier in the video, just go in to shoot the ship, get your 3 quick scopes, and then get out and make sure it's tracked, and just keep playing and playing. It should take you only over an hour once you get the hang of the quick scoping, which I've always been terrible at. The first few games were a little frustrating, but once you get the hang of it, especially with the car, it's pretty easy. So let me know what you guys think down below. Have you unlocked this yet? How's your progress going? If you're having issues, let me know. And again, it's interesting to see on the box magazine here, it says XM7, which is cool to see. It looks very close to a K, so I'm sure they're making it look that way just, again, due to the licensing purposes, not trying to make anything too distinct versus the actual Barrett M82s. But really nice weapon. I'm a big fan of this in multiplayer. I think it handles really well. I leveled it. Once I unlocked it, I leveled it all the way up. And again, I couldn't, even though I purchased the in-store bundle, I wasn't even able to use it because I wanted to get the quick scopes done. And using that for the quick scopes, it just really wasn't viable due to I wasn't able to swap out the scope, and you were kind of stuck with that 3.25 times LCAN on there versus putting some sort of red dot on there, which, since it is a sniper rifle, you can't really do. So again, I used the Kar 98K, which was pretty easy to use. It only took me about an hour. Let me know down below what you guys think. This is the Barrett M82A2 or the Army designated XM107. Now we have Twitter, Instagram, links down below, as well as the Discord link. Be sure to follow me on there. Best way to get a hold of me is through Twitter and Instagram, as well as Discord. I'm on there quite a bit too. We have a nice community building there. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, be sure to do so. We have a lot more weapon conversions coming, Warzone videos, a lot of stuff coming here, as well as wish list for the rest of Season 4 and beyond. I'm really excited for 5 and 6. I know Season 5 should be starting early August. We should be seeing that. So we have about a month left here in Season 4, and then on to Season 5, and can't wait to see what the new weapons are there. But again, let me know down below what you guys think of this weapon, what you're enjoying about Season 4 so far, what you like, don't like about the refresh. We had a couple weapon adjustments today, which we'll be covering sometime in the future, just going over that. The Grau and MP5 were actually nerfed, which is nice to see. But let me know what you think of this weapon, if you've unlocked it, and what your favorite attachments are on this. But again, this is Buffering Gaming with the Barrett M82A1 or the XM107. And until next time, Buffering Gaming, out.
Less than a minute. Keep it up, guys. The day's almost done.
This is Striker 3-1, good copy. Strike inbound.
Personal radar. Personal radar.
Charge.
got a gunship on station.